there probably has been some, but very little learning about like why Trump happened, why Brexit happened, because I think again, I'd use a Jungian frame and a Petersonian frame. I don't think we've wrestled with the shadow. Like the shadow is like all the parts of ourselves that we don't want to admit or deny or repress. And there's so much of, like, Trump is a perfect example. Like, he has that reaction because he's all of those parts of yourself that you don't want to admit. And I think in so many of these places, like, we're in a time where we're going to have to wrestle with all of these shadows, and we're not doing it. Like, we haven't done it. We haven't worked. Okay, why did it happen? Because the question is, why did it happen? It's something to do with me. And if we don't accept that all of these people that we're kind of rejecting, that we're judging, that we're demonizing are aspects of ourselves, we're never going to get through. And that's the key kind of realization that I don't think many people went through after Trump. It was just this sort of sense of opposition, rejection, and very, very little learning. And it's true in kind of personal, it's true in any of our sort of personal lives. If we don't learn the lessons, we're going to be forced to learn them in more and more difficult and more catastrophic ways. Like, things start falling apart if we won't learn the lesson of a certain negative pattern that we have, or a negative kind of belief structure that we have. Then it's just going to keep coming up, and it's going to come up worse and worse and worse until we learn that lesson. And I think generally that's where we're at in society. I think you're right. I think that's, in a way, it's a tragedy that the documentary holds up so well, because I think it shows that we haven't really moved past that much.
And do you think part of using the term the shadow, part of the shadow of liberal people is the belief that they're right, and there's an arrogance about that? And if you go against them, you're wrong, and therefore you deserve derision. You deserve to be mocked. And once that happens, you stop having a conversation.
Yeah, I think we all suffer from that, but I think I think that perspective is in shadow. That's kind of the liberal shadow, because there's this paradox of being open to absolutely everything, being open to all genders, sexualities, races, and that is obviously necessary. Like, that's a necessary thing. But then there's this hidden shadow bit of like, yeah, but secretly we reject all of those people who don't think like all those bigoted deplorables, and that's the paradox I think that we're still wrestling with. So I think it is true, but that's in shadow for kind of like as I've said, like the low resolution liberal worldview.